And welcome back down that pecan tree-lined lane. I'm down on the farms of Larry and Marble. It's time for the Wednesday edition of our program. That's right, it's December the 27th, 2023, and we appreciate you listening to us here on the Down on the Farm Radio Network and one of our 16 Down on the Farm radio affiliated stations here in Texas. Let's begin by thanking our sponsor, the good folks at D&D Farm and Ranch on I-10 in Seguin. That's ddtexasoutfitters.com. Back from Christmas, March corn closed up 7 1/4 cents at $4.80 1/4 Tuesday, showing more appreciation for Friday's reopening of the 2 rail lines into Mexico, an important accomplishment for the moment for U.S. grain and corn in particular. Early Tuesday, USDA said 42.6 million bushels of corn were inspected for export last week, putting total inspections up 26% from a year ago and in line with the USDA's estimation. March soybeans closed up 12 3/4 cents at $13.19 on Tuesday, helped by a $4.80 gain in the March bean meal. There is an ongoing debate about the size of Brazil's bean production in 23-24, with several private firms placing estimates in the 150s, while official estimates for Brazil in the U.S. anticipate records of about 160.2 million metric tons. Here in the U.S., soybean crush demand remains active, but it is odd to see both soybean meal and oil pricing trading lower in December. As we look toward March KC wheat, it closed up 19 3/4 cents at $6.42 3/4, showing a hint of bull spreading in the March contracts of both Kansas City and Chicago, a sign of either commercial buying interest or possible export sales in the works. Neighbor, as we look toward the cotton market, we see that the cotton market's bullish trade was closely aligned to the influence of certain markets yesterday. With the observance of Christmas on Monday, all the reports are going to be delayed one day. Thus, weekly sales will be issued on Friday. In addition, the cotton market will trade normal hours this Friday and have a normal opening for Tuesday, January the 2nd. As we look toward livestock, neighbor, we see that moderate to strong gains developed in the last half of Tuesday's session as the traders returned from the long holiday weekend and focused on growing support in both live and feeder cattle. Hog futures remained under pressure, with active losses developing in those nearby months. I'm Larry Marble from Down on the Farm Radio, and I'm with Stephen from D&D Farm and Ranch on I-10 in Seguin. That's ddtexasoutfitters.com. Stephen, you know, I'm an old sheep and goat man, was raised that way, and I love working sheep and goats with good equipment, and I bet you D&D can help me out, can't you?
Yes, sir. Larry, we are now carrying sheep and goat panels and working equipment from Rivera Panels. They're a family-owned company out in the little town of Lomita. They make quality equipment from working chutes to pens, all sorts of feeders that you can choose from as well.
Real great options for sheep and goat people. I know we've got them in Texas. I know we've got them in Guadalupe County. Stephen, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Larry, you can get a hold of me at 830-379-7340, extension 161. More than happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
We appreciate you. That's Stephen from D&D talking about their sheep and goat equipment, ddtexasoutfitters.com. Neighbor, let's take a look at meat moves from yesterday. The 5-area weekly average price last week was $2.14 by the hundredweight from the previous week at $117.85. The move higher ahead of the Christmas holiday was expected to help some additional support to the week's cash markets. As we look toward Tuesday's slaughter, 100,000 head, 25,000 head less than a week ago, 22,000 head than a year ago. Box beef prices were higher. Choice was up 38 at $293.31. The Select up 4 at $261.19, with a movement of 68.54 loads, 42.38 of Choice, 13.19 of the Select, 7.36 loads of trim, and 5.61 loads of ground beef. The cash cattle call for today, we're saying steady to one higher. As we look toward the pork side of the meat equation, we see that Tuesday's hog slaughter, 463,000 head, 14,000 head less than a week ago, 16,000 than a year ago. Pork cutouts total 298.09 loads with 264 $83.30 in the number of loads of pork cuts and $33.79 of trim. Pork cutout value was down 9 cents at $82.12. Wednesday's cash hog call steady to one higher. Continued pressure in the futures as the softness in the cash values are likely to limit those price gains. With weekly procurement schedules limited, but not only the Christmas holiday schedule, but dark plants this next Monday due to New Year's Day, that limited buying is expected to continue. Remember, neighbors, MG Building Materials has 5 locations. MG in San Antonio is at 2651 Southwest Military Drive. MG in Corpus, they're on Padre Island Drive, 7436 Padre Island Drive. MG Building Materials Uvalde, 2301 East Main. The store in beautiful downtown Kerrville on Memorial Drive, 2202 is the street number. And MG Building Materials in Pleasanton, 1734 West Oak Lawn. Now, I know you can't remember them all, so go to mgbuildingmaterials.com for details. Neighbor, now it's time for a feature from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Here's a good one. How about Around the Caprock with Amarillo's James Hunt?
The economic impact of silage demand. I'm James Hunt with Around the Caprock on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. As we continue talking about Texas A&M AgriLife's 2024 economic forecast for Texas Panhandle agriculture, silage is a topic that certainly deserves some discussion. For many farmers whose operations happen to be located near a dairy or two, silage production has been a game changer. AgriLife Risk Management Specialist Dee Jones explains.
One thing that we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years as more and more dairy operations have moved into the Texas Panhandle is those values of silages have gone up and up and up. So to put it in perspective, 10 years ago, the price of corn silage almost always ran about 9 times whatever the corn price was. So if the corn price was, let's say, $5 a bushel, silage would be 9 times that. But now we've seen a shift, and silage prices are running more like 12 times the price of corn.
In AgriLife's 2024 forecast, Jones says silage is coming out much better than grain in terms of what farmers can get in their per-acre returns over production expenses.
To put it in perspective, like I said, corn's making you about $300 to $325 an acre. Corn silage is penciling out double that. It'll make over $600 an acre.
Jones says for sorghum, the outlook for 2024 calls for a return over production expenses of about $550 to $600 an acre for silage compared to just $50 to $75 an acre for grain. As we pointed out yesterday, the figures quoted in this report are Texas Panhandle specific. The numbers are based on the outlook for local prices and the cost of inputs that typically go into producing crops in this region. I'm James Hunt on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Neighbor, now it's time for Tom Nicoletti in today's edition of Focus on Ag. Tom, our topic?
El Nino to reduce tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm Tom Nicoletti with Focus on Agriculture at the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. The outlook is optimistic for Texas farmers and ranchers in 2024 for favorable weather resulting from El Nino. BAM weather meteorologist Kirk Hins.
Very optimistic. I would say definitely the most optimistic I've been probably in the last half decade. I would say the only thing to watch, the strength of El Nino as we go into 2024, the longer that it lasts, the longer potential of above normal rain, cooler temperatures lasts deeper into 2024 because there's a lag with that. Now, we weaken El Nino quicker, that will be something to watch for next summer. You weaken El Nino quicker, that could be a signal for periods of warmer, drier than normal potential. Now, I will add the caveat there, that is not being seen. That is something to watch as a risk.
How does El Nino relate to tropical systems in the Gulf of Mexico?
Significantly less tropical activity, almost one-to-one correlation with that. So, and we saw this last season too. we didn't have any impactful tropical systems in terms of major hurricanes. They were all east of the East Coast. That is a strong signal for what's ahead of us in 2024. So I think it's a slow start to the season, as long as this El Nino continues, and a slower season as a whole, especially for the Gulf versus the last 3-4 years where we've had quite a bit the normal tropical activity in the Gulf. So below normal as we go into 2024.
The comparison is in 2022, there was immense tropical activity.
Definitely considerably above normal. So that was due to a strong La Nina, which tropical activity loves La Nina because it's less wind shear. That's just a change of wind. What's the opposite of El Nino? It does not favor atmospherically tropical activity and a stronger jet stream. It pushes everything east of the Gulf of Mexico. So that's the reasoning why I think it's going to be less. Optimistic for 2024, especially in comparison to what we have behind us. So I think good things ahead.
That is meteorologist Kirk Hinz. He is president of BAM Weather in Indiana. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to get insurance for Texans by Texans. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Neighbor Carrie Martin does a fine program there on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. We'll utilize it during the holiday week. It's called Texas News and Views.
A look back and a look forward. I'm Kerry Martin with Texas News and Views on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. 2023 was a great year for some Texas farmers and not so great for others. Kenny Melton is the Western Agronomic Services Manager for BASF. He's based in Lubbock, and he says there were some challenges to overcome in 2023.
We didn't hit the high yield market we'd like to in a lot of situations, but given the weather conditions that we had, we performed very well. We're very happy with how things turned out in terms of our FiberMax as well as our Stoneville varieties. And, a big part of our work within agronomic services is looking at new varieties and, testing those. And so we had a lot of trials out across the state. We had we planted about 103 trials, and some of those we didn't get to plant, especially in the Panhandle because of how wet it was up there. We had several that were dry land trials in the coastal bend and in the rolling plains and southern high plains that just didn't make it, with the hot weather that we had that came in, it just didn't make it. And then, of course, throw in a few hailstorms as well. And you have a few of those every year, and certainly this was no exception.
Kenny, am I correct in assuming that the big news, the exciting thing about 2024 is the rollout of your new Accent Flex technology?
That is right. We are so excited about that. We just had our variety advancement meeting last week and made the decisions on that. We're going to be announcing those at the Beltwide, but I can tell you that we've got 4 varieties that really look great for the state, going all the way from South Texas up to the Panhandle. We're so excited about having that. It's all going to be, of course, in our own germplasm, which we're really excited to have that now because some of the dicamba varieties that we had in Stoneville were just in-licensed varieties, and now this is our own germplasm. We're going to have 1 in a Stoneville bag and 3 in a FiberMax bag that we'll be announcing at the Beltwide this year. So, gosh, we're ecstatic over that. We've got some great performance with those. Got some great native traits to offer with that, with root knot nematode, bacterial blight. We've got a couple that have got some good verticillium wilt tolerance as well. So we're really looking forward to 2024 and being able to get those in the marketplace. They're going to be in limited quantities, but they'll be out there. And, as we get into that, we'll encourage growers to visit with their BASF rep or their retailer and get the lowdown on trying to secure some of this for 2024.
That's Kenny Melton. He is the Western Agronomic Services Advisor for BASF. He's based out of Lubbock. I'm Kerry Martin on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, let's take a shorter look at the grains, courtesy of John Tuggle, 361-852-5207, Tuggle and Company, Corpus. Milo through Corpus, 1044. Houston, 1053. Yellow corn to Corpus, 514 3/4. Progresso, 579 3/4. Houston wheat, 655. Placido beans, 1218. 7608. Average price on 7,311 bale of Texas cotton. Neighbor, that's it for the Best Darn Farm Show in Texas. No brag, just fact. Good day.